This one's wife. Isn't it time we felt sorry for them? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Pity and sympathy are emotions and reactions that are sought out by certain narcissists. Amongst the lessers, there are occasions where they would want the pity of another individual and their sympathy. It is especially prevalent amongst mid-range narcissists, especially those of mid-range persuasion, be it A or B. With the rampant victimhood mentality, the provision of pity and sympathy signals to the narcissist that the regular appliance that they are dealing with is under control, that their reaction provides them with fuel, that borne by their pity for the poor wretch that is the narcissist, that their sympathy for their circumstances may well result in that appliance providing a residual benefit also. The graters and the ultra reject sympathy. They have no place nor time for pity. Whilst people may express it towards them, it is not required. Indeed, it will be rejected. But with the vast majority of narcissists being of the lesser and mid-range persuasion, there are plenty of individuals who require it, and it's certainly something that this one's wife has repeatedly sought as her part of her pursuit of the prime aims. There would be those that might suggest that there is much that she ought to be pitied for, that there is much that she ought to receive sympathy from. And Michael Deacon, writing in the Telegraph, poses the question, is anybody else starting to feel sorry for Harry and this one's wife? He states, when I first laid eyes on the Sussexes' ludicrous Christmas card, I was tempted to join in the mockery. Happy holiday season, indeed. For pity's sake. They've managed to produce a Christmas card that doesn't mention Christmas. On reflection, though, he writes, I've decided to keep my jokes to myself. This may sound surprising, given that ever since the couple quit the royal family for the United States in January 2020, I've ridiculed everything from their Oprah interview, how do you feel about the palace hearing you speak your truth, to Harry's job as a chief impact officer at a Californian life coaching firm, an authentic workplace where people bring their full selves to the table. All of a sudden, he writes, I find myself troubled by an unprecedented thought. It's not easy to admit, but let me put it like this. Is anyone else starting to feel sorry for Harry and this one's wife? All right. So they may be tedious, cloying, talentless, whiny, and insufferably sanctimonious. But just look at what a rotten 2024 the poor things have had. Everything seems to be falling apart. The launch of this one's wife's much trumpeted lifestyle brand, flogging her fancy jam and so on, keeps being delayed, reportedly because of trademark issues over the name American Riviera Orchard. Harry's new television series about polo has been absolutely panned. A Netflix insider has told the Daily Mail that this one's wife's planned cookery show may never see the light of day. And as for the streaming platform signing them up to another £80 million production deal, fat chance. That contract is looking like an even bigger waste of money than the couple's podcast deal with Spotify, which came to an abrupt end last year. Meanwhile, previously supportive US media outlets appear to have turned against them. 2 years ago, the cutter-trendy website owned by the achingly liberal New York Magazine ran a gushing interview with this one's wife about her wonderful new life in California. She stands and smiles with the perfect level of warmth, the gleam of her teeth rivaled only by the shyness of her blowout. Although pausing there, I think this journalist has missed the fact that that was actually a piss take. But last week, it published a piece witheringly headlined, Harry and this one's wife's projects can't stop flopping. No matter how preeningly narcissistic the couple may seem, surely even they must now have realised what the source of their woes is. The fact is, People were only interested in hearing what Harry and this one's wife had to say when they were dishing the dirt on the royal family. Hence, in January last year, the record-breaking vast sales of Harry's memoir Spare, with all its eye-popping claims about his brother, father and stepmother. But every time he and this one's wife start talking about any other topic, be it sport, jam, or social justice, the world turns off. No one cares. Now that the Sussexes have finished flogging all the family secrets, they've got nothing that anyone wants. Anyway, as if all that weren't bad enough, worse may be to come, because Nigel Farage is publicly hinting that when Donald Trump takes office again, he could reconsider Harry's US visa. Of course, Farage may just be trolling. We know how he loves a bit of mischief. But even if Trump lets Harry off the hook, the future looks bleak. Because if the Sussexes can't make a success of life in America and run out of money, they might end up having to slink back to Britain anyway. An alarming prospect for us as much as for them, which is why if this one's wife's jam ever does come on the market, I'm going to order a case of it every week. The alternative just doesn't bear thinking about. Thus, more ridicule for them, a summary of how useless they are, and pointing out the clear and undeniable fact. All they had to offer was gossip and whining about the royal family. Take that away, you're left with nothing, because they have no talent, they have no charisma, and nobody thus is interested in them. But the question was, is anybody else starting to feel sorry for Harry and this one's wife? And 2,520 people responded to that. Yes, a deluge of responses to that particular question. What are some of the responses? Roland Butt, no. Bobby Moo, a definite no from me. Bill Mass, nope. Malcolm R, no. Lloyd, no. Bored even seeing articles on them. Never read any. Josie, no. Teresa, no. David Thompson, no, most certainly not. John writes, if one is led astray by a seductress with a game plan, then I guess one has to take what comes. That said, we all make mistakes, and a great many of them involve a restless individual living below the belt. For me, a degree of sympathy for Harry overshadowed by the fact he should have seen it coming. Andrew Wilcox, they are complete grifters who sold out their own families for money. Owen Bigelow, nope, just you. Paul Calvin, just like his Uncle Andrew, Harry gives the impression of being tin-haired and untitled. Scott France, still no. Peter J. Stubberfink, in answer to this silly question, no. Kevin Oliver, they're reaping what they have sown in too thick skin to know when to give up and start apologising big time. And on it goes. Thus, nobody feels sorry for them. As you would expect, they're getting their just desserts. H. Chapman asks, feel sorry for a pathetic half-wit who so cruelly and unnecessarily hung his own family issues out in public? Never. T.J. Vickers, no. Chris Potter, no. Stefano Black, in answer to the question, no. In fact, I have champagne on ice in readiness to celebrate their inevitable implosion. William Wallace, no, I do not feel sorry for them. Sooner or later she'll chuck him. Still won't feel sorry. Margaret Stonemason, we must not forget the prestigious award that the failed pilot received for his superb flying abilities. Malcolm R, hooked by a second-rate actress. Foisted by his own woke petard, more like. James Stewart, and a no from me, as well as all my family and friends. Kelder Sprint. After nearly 2,500 no responses, Michael Deacon has hopefully got the answer to his question. A scathing response that there is not an ounce, not a shred, not an iota of a mote of a speck of sympathy for these two abject losers. Might your response be any different? Perhaps you care to share it with me in the comments section. I am H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.